Hello there, men, and welcome to the Masculinism Movement channel, a place for men to be men and talk about masculinity and men's issues. I'm your host, Brian Krall, and today I'm going to be talking to you about something very interesting, and that is the anti-male, pro-female gender bias and double standard in society, which is called the gamma bias. This is a really fascinating topic that I discovered recently and just had to do a write-up for a video on. Gamma bias is a type of double standard that is formed from the combination of what are called alpha bias and beta bias. Now, alpha bias is when the differences between the genders are maximized, and beta bias is when the difference between the genders are minimized. So gamma bias is when you do both at different times in order to tip the scales of perception in one direction. Or in other words, it's a double standard. Now I know this is really confusing, but it'll all make sense when you hear the examples. So for instance, when men are responsible for doing good, in the examples of firemen, for instance, and how they are generally men, the gender differences are minimized by feminism, which focuses on the fact that there are any female firemen at all, and says that both men and women are responsible for saving people from fires, so they shouldn't even be called firemen, but fire people, even though almost all of them are men. However, when men are responsible for doing something bad, for instance, the fact that terrorists are almost all male, then feminism focuses on the difference, saying, see, there are no female terrorists, only men are terrorists. What does that tell you about men? Similarly, when a woman invents something, feminists will put her on a pedestal for doing it, but they will ignore the fact that it usually has previously already been invented by a man. And when a woman does something bad, feminism will not make it about gender difference, but say that it is part of a bigger social issue that affects both genders. Or they may actually make it about how women have been oppressed by the patriarchy and that they aren't given enough social support. So are you starting to see how this double standard of gamma bias works now? And you probably noticed this type of thing before. You probably heard feminists and women saying that there are no difference between the genders. You know, they're saying this when they are trying to say that women can do anything that men do, which they say when women are aspiring to be like men. So when they notice that there still aren't enough women in STEM fields, they say there's no difference in the genders, so there shouldn't be less women in STEM fields. However, anytime a woman actually accomplishes something, they will make it seem like women are better than men. So when a woman has become a successful business owner, they will make it seem like she did so because she is so much better than men are, in spite of the fact that what she is doing has been done by men infinite amount of times before, and more successfully as well. So think of it this way. Gamma bias is basically a distortion in the perception of gender and the ways in which the genders differ as well as the ways in which they are equal. You're distorting the perception of both of those things at the same time. So it attempts to make them seem equal where they aren't and make them seem different where they aren't as well. Both in ways which make women seem favorable and men seem unfavorable in both of those circumstances. This kind of perceptual distortion leads way to many other similar things. In an argument or debate, when someone does this, it is often called moving the goalposts, especially in political debates. This moving the goalposts occurs when they are making their candidate or party seem better by making its goalposts closer and making the other seem worse by making its goalposts further. So they could say, see, look at all the wins my guy's making, while they say, these other guys haven't accomplished anything yet by moving their goalposts around, even though the candidates may have both done about equal in their time campaigning. So now that you understand what this double standard called gamma bias is and how it actually makes society biased against men and for women and completely skews both our differences and the ways that we are equal. If you're interested in learning even more about gamma bias, I'd like to direct you to a link I have provided below for one of the videos that I watched on it that enlightened me to this concept, which will go over 4 definitive ways in which gamma bias occurs. But otherwise, that concludes this talk. Thank you for listening. Be sure to share your own thoughts and opinions about any ways that you may have noticed or experienced gamma bias by commenting below. And if you like this video, be sure to hit the like button and share these messages with everyone by sharing the video on social media and talking about these things as well and generating awareness. And lastly, check out the links in the description below for other resources for your masculine personal development, living the life you want to as an independent man. And stay tuned for the next video coming out soon, which will be on gynocentrism and misandry. And make sure you subscribe so you'll be notified when that is. And until then, take care of yourselves, men, because no woman out there is going to.